And welcome back, everybody. We're back once again. Right off the bat, let me just say, we were both working on our video game pitches, which we said we'd come up with last week, and we decided to put them off for a little bit just because we actually have a full week of news here to actually talk about. So it's going to be one of those weeks where we have like three topics and there's nothing, and then we're going to talk about that. So that's kind of what happened. As always, I'm your host Armin, and I'm here with Tristan.
Okay, people, that's not the moon in the sky that's covering the sun. It's the death egg.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's just the solar eclipse news.
yeah.
Well, I think like at the time of recording right now, it's in the middle of it. I saw some of it on some of the news feeds
I don't know.
today.
I completely missed it. I was like, I don't even care about this. It's just,
I mean,
well,
it's kind of cool, but it's not like something I like stop because I think I saw some people like they actually wanted like a lot of people want to get home or to the area to
yeah,
actually see.
that they did. I don't know. That's their thing, and that's their problem. And you know what else has problems, Tristan? That Xbox One has some problems. Or
Yeah,
Xbox One X. Excuse me. I got to be
yeah.
correct here.
Oh yeah, I know you were at a con, and I didn't really care about Gamescom that much for the Microsoft conference, but I did check on my Twitter feed about it, and it was really interesting that they're gonna have us. Let me start by saying that it was originally going to have a special edition called the Xbox One X Scorpio Edition. But at the time of this recording, it's already been sold out. They said that it sold out within 15 minutes because they had limited quantities across all pre-order platforms.
Mm-hmm.
But the only difference is that it had, I think it's a different casing styling, and you had Project Scorpio, the logo on the X. That's the only difference from like a regular X to this special edition X is that they have the logo.
So first up, I'm gonna say I didn't even realize Gamescom was going on. Like every year
Yeah.
seems like it's getting less and less important.
Well,
So
I think it's more the fact that a lot of the games companies and development teams aren't really doing conferences that much anymore
yeah.
because I know Gamescom had a lot of conferences. I know a couple years ago, like Nintendo had some, and Sony had some, and Microsoft had some. But now, since like Sony has its own conferences and some other ones that are coming up, they would rather do it then than do like at E3 sometimes or Gamescom, and they just have the development teams come out and like preview games that are coming out towards the end of the
Hmm.
year, then have like a full blown conference. But Microsoft decided they needed one,
They
and
should
then
not have had one.
they said that they wanted to show off their most powerful console at the time, right now. And I mean, it looks cool, but I mean, they only showed like the special edition, and special edition really wasn't anything else. They also had some, I know like GameStop had like a special, like their trading offers. You want to hear the trading offers for the Xbox
Sure.
One X? Okay, now you get $200 in trade-in value if you trade in either a Nintendo Switch or a PS4 Pro. You'll get $150 in trading credit if you trade in a One S or a regular OG PS4. And you'll get $100 for an OG Xbox One.
Hmm. Doesn't seem good. Uh,
No, it does.
well,
Since it's like $4.99.
so
Uh,
here's the thing. Like, I saw you posted like in our chat, and I'm like, wow, he's got to be shitting with me with the Scorpio edition. So I look
Nope.
it up, and I'm like, so the box looks like the original Xbox. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
that's so cool. That's like, oh my god, that's a great throwback because I love the original Xbox. And then I look at the actual console, and it looks nothing like it. It's just a plain black with green Project Scorpio on it.
Yeah, that's why I was wondering because from when I first saw like the video, they showed it was a little bit different than what they announced it, and they oh no, this is the Project Scorpio edition. It has a all new, it has a completely different casing, and it's like more sleek and smaller, and you have the Project Scorpio label on the box and on the controller, and then they said there's nothing different from it. It's just that it's just other than aesthetics, it's the same Xbox One X you'll get if you don't get the Scorpio edition. And every other Xbox One controllers will sync up to it, so there's no special controllers whatsoever. And like that when they're announcing it, I got the feeling that they didn't really have anything else to say about it because the announcer kept saying that this is the most powerful console ever produced, and they said it like multiple times.
And so I saw that. I saw like a highlight video that someone put out. Someone sent me, was like, dude, check this out. And I was just like, okay. And I'm watching it, right? And I don't want to. It's that weird thing where you remember like a year ago when they revealed it. It was like, it's going to do all this and that and true 4K and stuff. And then like 8 months ago, we're like, well, it could do 4K on some stuff. And then at E3, when they're showing people, they're like, well, we're checkerboarding. And now I'm like,
Yeah.
So now like it's gone back on everything they said. Like, I think the problem is neither of these two consoles currently out with the CPUs they have can handle true 4K. So it's still a bottleneck.
Well, obviously, because they're just overclocked CPUs from the original ones.
Yep.
And what people getting mad about is that, or what they're finding out, is that from Phil Spencer saying that he never really said 4K 60 frames per second. He just said 4K, and then people caught on to it more when he kept saying 4K capable. Keyword 4K capable, meaning that the games will probably get to 4K, but the frame rates will vary on the development team and what they want to achieve. So it could be anywhere between like 30 to 60 or unlocks where it's just going to go all over the place depending on what you're doing. Yeah. And this is just a real, head scratcher. And then they announce like over 100 games are going to be 4K capable, and they think like some program in the Scorpio will automatically, like with the PS4 and the Xbox One do automatically when they see you put for automatic updates, like it'll turn on occasionally and search for the application of the game that's inserted, and then they'll update it. If it's connected to the internet, they'll update it overnight or whenever, and then like when you play it again, all the updates will be installed and you won't have to wait. Well, Xbox One X will do that. They'll do that. It'll search for the 4K, texture packs and updates.
They're fucking huge, though.
I know they're huge, and that's what people are not getting at. Even in the Facebook group, people are all, I don't get it why people, do this and then don't do that for like the Sony and the PlayStation, but they'll shit on, Xbox and Microsoft. And I'm like, RIP data caps, because those things are gonna go away really quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, even on PC, the 4K texture packs are really fucking big.
Oh, they are. Trust me.
Yeah, like I think when I posted the video, like was it Forza? The total amount with the 4K texture packs is about 100 gigs.
Oh.
So a quarter to a half of that is just for the 4K texture packs.
Wow.
So it doesn't matter if you can update or download the texture packs for a game earlier than when it comes out, so you can be ready to go. Like 40 to 50 gigs of your data cap's already gone, and if you have multiple games that are gonna have 4K texture packs, if you have like 500 gigs for the month, well, a quarter of that's already gone.
Yeah, you're screwed. Like,
yeah, that's why I'm like telling people, I'm like, I'm glad that I live in California, where we don't really, the service providers don't really have to compete with each other, because we have two service providers here. I think it was Frontier and Spectrum. They don't really have data caps.
That's good.
Yeah, they don't really have it per se, but there's a little stipulation, because some streamers here go a little overboard, but they don't have that. But more so towards the East Coast, they have a lot of data caps, and a lot of people are expecting, I'm gonna play in 4K. Yeah, you're gonna be playing in 4K until you get throttled, and then you're gonna be complaining a lot.
Yeah. So
they didn't really think this whole 4K, gaming in 4K thing. That's why I was stating that we're not even ready for 4K gaming at this point. I mean, we certain people can get to 4K gaming if they want to, but as the basic consumer as a whole, we're not ready. I think we're at least 5 years away from even achieving where people can afford to do it reasonably.
Yeah. And if everything's moving in a more digital age, it's going to be even harder. So,
Yeah, because you'll have, like I
yeah.
said, most service providers still have data caps, and you're going to be downloading a lot of stuff, and it doesn't really care if you like, oh, I'm going to do it to an external. You're still downloading the data from whatever provider that you have.
Hmm.
So you'll be having like 100 gigs per game if you have a 4K game, and like 50 to 60 for just a regular, regular game. And
Yeah.
I just like from what I see is like from I guess the next generation is that they're probably not going to like focus so much on 4K game, 4K 60 frames per second. It's more so I think they're going to do 1080p 60 frames. That I hope that it becomes at a lock.
Yeah, yeah. So they can stabilize it and actually use it.
Yeah,
So,
like that's normally what I would rather than focus on is having a lock 1080p 60 frames per second because I think so is it 70% of the total population for Steam. Steam's gamers are still doing that. They're staying at 1080p, but they're having that lock 60 frames per second.
that's what I'm doing. It's
Yeah.
better, you know. I don't think there's a big enough increase in going to 4K, but we'll
Well,
talk about that, I
yeah.
guess, next. There's a lot of rumors coming around that the next PlayStation could be revealed much sooner than we're all anticipating, like
Yes.
as early as next year, possibly.
Yes, I saw that. What was it? I think it was the PlayStation UK Twitter
Hmm.
account. They tweeted out a GIF that showed that they're getting ready to unleash something. We don't really know what it is yet. It's just something that's going to be announced soon. They just have, I think the GIF had, it was just like a trophy room and it had a veil over whatever it was. Most people think it's, the PS5. Other people think it's just some add-on or something else.
It's the
Oh, that's
PlayStation 32X, bro.
Yeah, and then like people try to get some information. They tried asking the U.S. Twitter handle, and all they could say is that we don't know, but it may be something for the UK market as of this time. So until it's unveiled, we can't say anything.
Yeah.
So that's all we got. It's just that there's something new, and I don't really know like what it is. I know it's not like the PlayStation 5 because they wouldn't do an announcement like this because I think when they announced the PlayStation 4, we didn't even see the console. We saw the controller and some of its specs.
Yep.
So I don't know. I don't know what you think it's gonna be.
Um, so here's the thing. I don't think this big reveal or this reveal is anything like that. I think they're just going to reveal like an exclusive UK console or something. It's like,
Yeah,
oh, look, this year you can get something exclusive over here. It's some bundle or whatever.
yeah. Think it's gonna be like something like the PlayStation TV.
Something, it's something
Yeah,
that's not big or like
yeah,
huge.
yeah. That's what I think.
But
We're trying to run with it.
I want to talk to
I
you
don't know.
about then the other rumors that like the PlayStation 5 people are anticipating could be revealed as soon as next year for maybe 2018 if they're insane and maybe a 2019 release date. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I could see they're teasing something teasing something more of like how they like tease the PlayStation 4 where they'll show like the controller or the logo or some of the specs that the PlayStation 5 is going to have, but we're not really going to have like an announcement or more of an announcement of like what it's going to look like until like 2019, and then
Hmm.
if they really want to be ballsy and get it out first, then you would expect them to have something ready by E3 of that year and to announce that it's coming out this fall. Or they probably will stick to it and probably won't announce, yeah, won't really announce until the PGX of that year and say it's coming out like in 20 or like mid 2019 to
Yeah.
late.
I mean, I'm definitely feeling a fall 2019 release date, but here's the thing how I see it. Let's like play a little game of hypotheticals. The Xbox One S when it came out, the white one, the white one with the
Yeah.
4K player, that ended up winning a couple months in sales, and then it got back to PlayStation. Now, if the scenario presents itself where we come to this fall and Xbox One X sells out, and then the next month it's number one, the PlayStation doesn't have much to worry about. But if it
Mm-mm.
comes to like springtime and they're still outselling PlayStation, I think this is when they start pulling the, trigger a little bit faster, going, okay, we need to get this next console out sooner because of this.
Mhm.
And it's all about that if you make it to market first. Now, who knows how Xbox One is going to sell? People could completely turn on it. I mean, it's a $500 console, so that's the
Yeah.
thing. And even if it's
Mhm.
marginally, let's say, like, even if those specs right now, because they have to be finalized like early on in the year, if PlayStation 5 was to hypothetically come out of December of 2018, so like a year and a half from now, if they had just marginally better specs but a better CPU, they could pull off native 4K and they would once again start kicking ass. And they have that 5 on there, the brand new shiny one, which would make Microsoft have to start, playing catch up again like they did last gen. So I think Sony's in a winning position no matter what. That I think PlayStation 5 is definitely guaranteed. Just how soon is kind of like the big question mark.
Yeah, I can see that, and like what also from what I think personally is probably gonna happen with that reveal is not so much that they're gonna announce the PlayStation 5. It's that most people are hoping that it's gonna be backwards compatibility, and
Yeah.
I hope that the PlayStation 5 is gonna announce like a backwards compatibility with I think like the 1, 2, maybe not still the 3 because they still have that the cell architecture is still hard um to get an emulator going, and the 4 obviously because
So
it's going to be based on the Blu-ray drive. So
here's the thing, and I want to ask you since you're here. Then, is backwards compatibility this important to people? Because I'll be real with you, I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like when Xbox added it, and then I used it for maybe 5 minutes, and I was like, yeah, this is I
it's
could just play
all
new games.
right.
Like, and the percentage of people playing it doesn't
Yeah,
seem to be that huge.
yeah,
So,
it's more so of how convenient it can be
you know,
because if it like for let's say for PlayStation, if the PlayStation 5 says obviously going to be play PlayStation 4 games. If it said that it can play all your PlayStation 1 and 2 games by just inserting the disc and they'll upscale it automatically, then that's basically what people will want.
hmm
But if it's saying that like you need to actually have a disc, download it from their external servers to get a emulator and the ROM or ISO of the game for it to play, then it's not so much being convenient and more of it's just more convenient than me to actually go into the garage and get out my PlayStation 2 or PlayStation and hook that up because I don't think I have all the hookups for the actual console itself, and I just download it. But if they say like, you can input just slide in a CD or a DVD or the Blu-ray disc in it, and it'll just upscale it right there and then and play it, then people will go crazy because they'll be playing all the games on one console that they have and having like 2 or 3 consoles hooked up to about 2 to 3 TVs all at once because not a lot of people have the room and their patience to actually sort throughout all the
yeah,
wires and everything.
uh-huh. I mean, I think maybe PlayStation 5 could be a legacy console. Like that could be their thing, be like PlayStation 5 Experience Legacy and make it backwards
Yeah,
compatible. Because by the time the PS5 comes out, those specs are going to be powerful enough to be able to emulate the cell. Hell, I wouldn't even be surprised if they just shoved the cell in there and just
yeah,
offload that onto it because it's going to be so cheap to like
yeah,
emulate all that then.
yeah. It should be because right now even currently, so well, most games I don't know about all games, but most current upper tier to high end tier game PCs can emulate PS3 games to mostly stable conditions if you want to do it that way. So yeah, if they have like the PS5 and or the new Xbox if it does come out, they should be powerful enough if they have current tech inside of it. It should be powerful enough to actually get emulators up and running on the current hardware for PS4 all the way down to 1.
hmm Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. We'll see how it goes. It's PlayStation, it's video gaming. They're definitely going to want to do something with their legacy that they have. So, I mean, we'll get back and talk more about the future of PlayStation probably soon. Who loves dead franchises? Because Mass
People
Effect is
bitching
on
on the
that way.
internet. People bitching on the internet because they want them to come back.
So, Mass Effect, man. I said probably about a year and a half ago this was my most anticipated game of this year,
Mhm.
and by the time I was done the first planet, it was my most disappointing game of the last like decade. It's
Oh, you only got to the first planet. I tried to tough it out. I made it to three planets and I gave up because it became more of a chore than something like like it was exciting and to look.
I think
I was
chore the game pretty much sums up Mass Effect Andromeda. I don't, I understand everything they were going for. I love what they were doing. The storyline is intriguing enough, but when you got into it, you get there and you only meet like maybe two new alien species, and one of them happens to be the villains, right? And
yeah.
the planets are all they're cool and they're big, but it's like, oh, go around doing useless crap for 20 hours to like liberate this planet, or whatever the hell they were calling it. Like,
Well, it's terraforming the planets, but even terraforming the planets is term to be used loosely because I 100% it terraformed one planet and the environment didn't change at all. Yes, it did not change at all. It was still hostile, and I couldn't like walk out of the barrier to breathe the air, and it was killing me.
it's it was that, and not only that to me, like it was the little minor details everywhere, and the fact that just game kind of I didn't have me interested in the overall everything on it. Like, and when you get to the actual game, from what I've heard from people, it kind of ends teasing something big
Yeah,
that was going
it
to be
does.
DLC, and now you're not getting the DLC.
Yeah, because it sold well, but not to the point where was it the BioWare Montreal wanted, so they kind of got shut down. And it's gonna be left off as all the single player DLC is not gonna happen. I think they said that they'll still have their multiplayer updates periodically for some time until that's not gonna happen anymore either. And from what reports been saying is that yeah, Mass Effect is going to be on ice for a while because of the poor reception for everyone, because of how poorly optimized this game was as a whole. And it didn't even help when people found out that during development they went from one end was it, I think they went from one engine to Frostbite, even to well, when they went to Frostbite that Frostbite's not even well suited to being an adventure game, more so for third person or first person shooters.
Mm.
So that didn't help out either, which also didn't help that they tried to cut corners and make general facial and body animations, and then when people found out, they just started laughing at it because it was like they kind of like gave up after, I think, when they tried to change engines. I think like half the animators just gave up and went whatever, because I don't know what person likes having their was it their female companions walk like gorillas. And like people were actually showing comparisons. Some of them actually had like gorilla motions, and it was kind of funny.
I it's just Mass Effect to me. Just I want the series to continue, but can it just be not awful? Like, yeah, I
It
don't know
it,
how to phrase it. Like,
it,
Andromeda felt awful.
it definitely can, but not the way that EA wanted it to be. They wanted it out in 5 years, and midway through development, they changed gaming engines, and that's no help at all. And they gave it to one of the sister companies. It's not the main Bioware team who were working on Anthem, which looks a lot which looks a lot better than Andromeda.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's just that they're probably like halfway through. They're probably set up to fail because 5 years changing engines, having a whole bunch of trouble trying to do the stuff, and not realistically having the time to actually do it. It was just destined to fail, and they were hoping that it'd sell well enough that they could keep it going and hopefully fix it for the sequel. But that's not happening. No, at any time this rate from people just can't panning the shit out of it, saying that it's really really bad, and then they just saw even with the updates to fix it in incremental steps. But even like some of the animators and artists from other development teams, even from like Naughty Dog, saying that no, at this point in time, no patch is gonna fix the animation or facial features of any of the characters at this time. So no matter what they do, it's gonna look that way. And it's just like I said, it's gonna be it was destined to fail after they had that complete engine change.
It was. And what really gets me is that it's like you could have come back swinging after Mass Effect 3, where they really came out and after the blunder that was the initial release, they were like, you know what, we're gonna do this right. We're gonna come out, we're gonna fix all this, we're gonna release a ton of free DLC, we're gonna fix the story, fix all the bugs and everything. They really did with Mass Effect 3. Made it a completely different game by the end of it. Like within a year and a half. And then this game, there's like, yeah, we're just gonna abandon ship, screw it. And you just kind of left thinking, it's like, how do I trust you again? And is Mass Effect ever gonna come back? And if it comes back, I guarantee you they're not gonna continue the Andromeda thing. So, is it gonna be like a clean reboot, or are they gonna are they gonna like I don't know, Dead Space this one and just put it on ice and never touch it again?
I guess it depends on all like the main BioWare team wants to go back to the series and see if they have an actual story to tell. Because so far it seems like they're really invested in Anthem, and like from like gameplay and some interviews, they're really into this new IP and new world that they set out for people to actually explore and stuff. And that's what made it really intriguing for a lot of people, was that once again that they took cues from Destiny, and they made it into for better or for worse, they made it into a co-op mech third person shooter, which is kind of cool because it has the drops, it has a drop system. It has I don't know, maybe, but it looks like it's gonna have like a raid system too. But most people like having to control giant or small mechs.
Yeah. Yep. It's going to be interesting to see how Mass Effect goes. I mean, if there's any more on it, we'll come back to it. We'll talk more about Mass Effect.
Well, you can if it says that this is last multiplayer update, and they're not going to touch it again.
I mean, if there's an update on the future of the series, we'll come back and we'll definitely talk about the last part of our show, what we've been playing. I know there's one right off the bat that you're playing, and I just started today, Sonic Mania.
Can we talk about one more thing before we get to that? Is that about Valve and Steam, what they're going to be doing for developers now, where Valve is kind of getting mad that they're not getting the money that they used to.
Oh yeah.
And basically the Steam is just a glorification of a game launcher, and because originally they let development teams generate as many Steam codes as they want, so it didn't matter how many, because you can generate as much as you wanted. But what some of the development teams were doing was that they'll make 200,000, 300,000 and sell it to a different company for sale. And Valve didn't like it that much, because what ends up happening is that the Steam sales aren't as special anymore, because the other companies can just undercut them when they have it. So if a game is $25, they can go, oh, it's $22.50 on our site, and you can get this limited amount of Steam codes because they were redeemable on Steam, and people would go off to another one.
So I 100% am with Valve on this one. It's their market, it's their keys you're making for their platform. These developers are taking their keys and selling them somewhere else. That just doesn't make sense to me. It's their keys; they're the biggest ones on there. So
it's I think it's somewhere around they would be missing out on per key. They get about 30% of the total sale of the key, and some people are calling them out and saying they're being a monopoly and all this stuff. I'm like, well, technically it is, but it is their platform, and until a rival has another platform to which they can undercut them if they want to, because they have their own version of keys. They're just gonna have to settle, because Valve wants, for better or for worse, they want their Steam sales to actually have some meaning, and not just, let's see if they're having a game for $25, let's see if Green Man Gaming has it for at least 2019.
I'll be honest, I always do that. Before I buy a new PC game, I go check a Green Man Gaming, I go check a few other websites, and I'm like, do these guys have it competitive? And sometimes
Yeah.
I've actually bought quite a few games through Green Man Gaming, so it's. But I understand
Yeah.
exactly what Valve is saying, which
Yeah.
it's their
And
right to do it, you know?
yeah, yeah. And then they're saying to the development teams, if you will want, if it's selling well and you want the game to get out there more, then the only thing you can do outside of try and undercut is sell have your own discount, sell the game for less, and then when it comes on Steam, you'll get an extra incentive because it'll stack.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to do it that way, but don't generate codes and then sell it to another platform and then
Yeah.
have them undercut us.
Yeah. It makes sense to me. I know people will be mad, but it's the way of the business. It's their platform. Like, it's their
Yeah, no,
codes. So
I know that's what it said. It's a business thing. They have to stay open. It's not like they're entitled to helping out gamers get sales on everything.
yeah. So with that in mind, then let's talk about some other stuff. And hey, how about the Sonic Mania? And why the hell did they have to give me a digital code and not a physical copy of the game?
I think it's because of how small the actual file size is.
I
think
know,
it's
it
like
is
238 megs.
Dude, it downloaded in like half a second. I was like, what?
Yeah, it's really small, but it's a really amazing game.
It is.
Played it, well, Sonic and Tails, and I beat it, and it's just really fun. It's just a really fun game. I just hope that it have a lot more new zones than actual remixed old zones.
Well, can you imagine that it only took them going back to make a game that could run on Genesis to make a good Sonic game again?
Well, actually, from the main programmer Christian Whitehead, he actually it's his own custom engine that he used for the portable releases of Sonic 1 and 2 in CD. So the engine that Mania is using is an engine that is custom fit for it, based off the old engine he made for the original portable ports of Sonic 1, 2, and CD.
Oh, okay. Well, it's working good. I only played 3 stages, but I really, really like the hell out of it. Like, it's a good throwback. I mean, if you want Sonic the way Sonic used to be, this is it. Like, there's no question about it.
Yeah, it is. And like T. Lopes, he's a YouTube composer who was famously known for his remixes of Sonic, original Genesis Sonic music. He got on here and he did like little remixes of the original soundtracks of like Green Hill and Chemical Plant, and then like you'll hear his original remixes of the Act 2 sequences. So some of those are actually pretty good.
That's awesome.
And I've been playing it. I already got all the Chaos Emeralds for the Knuckles run because I have to do like 3 runs for a review. But I did that, and I still right now even having so much fun just playing through the whole classic Sonic, because during development it was kind of weird because they wanted to make a Sonic game that's better than the Genesis but not on par with Saturn. So it's like in that between.
Yeah. I think it's just refreshing, and it's that way we've been kind of heading in video games, because you see a lot of games going retro, and this is like as retro as Sega gets, and it hits the nostalgia so perfectly that honestly, I think they're just going to keep making Sonic games like this. I don't think they're ever going to go back to what they were doing before, because this is proven to work now, because people are loving the hell out of it.
Well, for me, I think they're going to go 2 ways. That the main Sonic team, like the original Sonic team, will go and do whatever they feel like they want to do.
Yeah.
And hopefully they take up Christian Whitehead, I think, like some of the other modders, which is Stealth and T-Lopes, and hopefully make them into a secondary studio to keep the 2D on the 2D side going, because from what they did, it's completely amazing. And I just can't get enough of this. And from what I've seen is that people ask, like, I think was it on the Sonic the Hedgehog official Twitter and Facebook page, they asked them for physical releases, and they have asked Sega and some other or publishers to see if they would do it, but so far they have nothing to say, because they knew people want like a physical release, because like I know you got the collector's edition, I got the collector's edition, all it came with was a code. But you got the statue, there's some other stuff. But all in all, this is just a really cool throwback to what made Sonic fun for the most part for the 2D side-scrolling platforming part of his history, and I really hope it's going keeps going because I've been playing that like all this weekend. I realistically been playing that all this weekend.
Yeah, that's pretty much the only thing I've gotten played because I said like I was at another comic convention this weekend, so I didn't get much time to play too much video games. The only other thing I kind of just dabbled in, I booted up Steam and I played a little bit on there. I played a little bit of Left 4 Dead 1 again, just kind of like enjoying a throwback. That's really it. So
Yeah, I haven't like touched. I have some games that I won't waiting to see if they get go on sale a little bit because like the only other game like I would probably be playing well outside of consoles, which probably at this moment is waiting for the PC release of Sonic Mania. And the only other game probably only playing this week is the release of Uncharted: The Lost Legacy collection because it's tomorrow.
Oh, I'm definitely gonna be playing that this week. Don't.
Yeah, and then other than that, still tinkering around with this the broadcaster and gamecaster, still trying to figure out because I still want to know which one's at least the best, but I'm leaning towards more broadcaster because I want to pay for it a year soon, and then get all the overlays out and ready for it. Still got to learn a lot of other stuff, and just get ready for fall.
Oh man, the fall, it's coming. It's it's gonna be
Yeah.
good.
I have a whole lot of games and a whole lot of stuff I actually really want to do.
Yep. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this podcast. We'll be back next week and we're definitely going to be talking about, some Uncharted and other things we've been playing. So thanks for stopping by, everybody.
See you.